Well, hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the From Chaos to Peace podcast, where I talk about how clutter is so much more than you think, and we put a spiritual twist on clearing that clutter to get organized. Thank you so much for allowing me back into your ears. Well, hello, my friend. I'm your host, Conny Graf. Welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for being here. Today, I want to talk about taxes, a dreaded topic, but stay with me. The episode is called Be Cheerful Spending Money. So, again, yes, let's talk about taxes. The more we have, the more we pay. But listen, we're not just paying in dollars or Swiss francs or euros or whatever the currency is where you live. We also pay mental, emotional, and sometimes even spiritual taxes. Mental taxes are like the brain space you lose worrying if you made the right decision spending that money instead of putting it into your savings, for example. Emotional taxes, that's stress, guilt, or resentment when you spend money on something and later feel it wasn't worth it. Spiritual taxes, the inner heaviness when you realize past or current spending isn't aligned with your values, or when it supports something you don't believe in. Okay, now that we've established what I mean with taxes and that it's not just talking about the taxes to be paid to the tax authorities, we can get to the cheerful part. And hey, if you think now this Connie has lost her mind, hear me out, because I'm not alone in this. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, had a beautiful perspective on this. He suggested we should pay these taxes gladly because they're proof of our life and success. And he too wasn't only talking about government taxes, he meant the inevitable tolls we pay in all areas of life. You know, it seems, or better, I realize I'm naturally wired this way, or somewhere along the way I learned to focus more on the positive side of spending and money and managing money. When I buy something I've decided that I want it or need, I genuinely feel grateful that I do have the money to make that choice. Now with taxes, I just accept them as unavoidable. Like, okay, this is part of the deal of making money. When tax time comes, I'm prepared because I've set money aside throughout the year. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not thrilled giving that money to the government, paying these taxes. And there are also definitely other bills that make me sign, that make me feel heavy when they arrive. But here's what I've noticed. Also, working with clients, many people get completely consumed by the negative feelings around money, and they'll agonize over purchases they can afford, purchases that would make them happy, purchases that would make their life easier. But they feel guilty for weeks after spending sometimes, or they spend so much mental energy dreading these bills that it becomes this constant background noise. This might be you. No judgment, really, I see you. But how about you give this concept of billing your bills, of paying your bills and gladly a try? Also, Brooke Castillo even talks about lovingly paying these bills because they represent the blessings we already have. Think about the rent or mortgage payment that gives you a safe place to live. The hydro or power bill that keeps your home warm. The water bill that makes sure the water is there when you turn on the faucet. The phone and the internet bill that keeps you connected to your loved ones and to the world. The grocery bill that keeps you nourished, and so forth, right? You get the idea. Plus, then there is also this ripple effect that happens. David Cameron Gikandi, I hope I say his name right, he wrote a book called A Happy Pocket Full of Money. It's one of my favorite books around money. And he says, be cheerful in your spending. Your spending causes the increased income of others and drives the economy. To say it poetically, every dollar you spend is like a little pebble dropped in a pond. It sends ripples far beyond what you see. So what is that ripple effect? The other day I saw this story on social media and it reminded me that this is a good example to illustrate the ripple effect. So picture this. You're at your local farmer's market. You hand over $20 to a vendor for his fresh produce. That farmer now can go and use the same $20 to buy her eggs for her family from the stand next to hers. Then the egg seller can take the same $20 to buy coffee beans from a local roaster. And that local roaster now uses it to pay the baker for bread and pastries. And the baker can pay her hydro or power bill to keep the oven going. And the hydro company can pay their employees so they have the $20 to go to the farmer's market to begin with. Well, I'm sure you get the idea and the vision, but how do we actually put this cheerful spending mindset into practice, you wonder, right? It's nice to say, oh, be more cheerful in spending, but how actually are we going to do this? Where do we even start? Well, I was thinking about this, what examples or what simple ways I want to give you to start your shifting your relationship with paying bills and taxes that you could start using right away. So how about using some gratitude? Like I said, when I can buy something that I want, I'm really grateful that I have the money to do that. So how about before you pay for anything, whether it's groceries, gas, or your morning coffee, take a breath and quickly mentally say to yourself, thank you for. So maybe, thank you for that I have the money to pay these groceries. Thank you that I have the money to buy the gas for my car. Thank you for the morning coffee. That is one important one for me. I love my coffee in the morning. A second way how you could start becoming more cheerful in spending is by visualizing that ripple effect that I talk about. So when you hand over the money, for example, in the grocery store, take a moment and smile at the person receiving it, and then briefly imagine where that money might go next. Will it help someone pay the rent? Buy someone else lunch? This tiny little practice shifts you from money is leaving me, I'm losing money, to money is flowing through me to help others. It's just, it may sound stupid, but that little mindset shift will make a difference if you practice it. And the third thing I think we all could do more, especially if you can listen to this podcast, you probably are well enough off to than a lot of people, let's say like this. So then we could start a gratitude list. For example, at the end of the day or at the end of the week, we can think of, or maybe it's even better to write down 3 to 5 things that we spent money on and that we're genuinely grateful for. So not necessarily big purchases. Again, maybe it's just a coffee that you bought that perked you up in that moment, or the gas that you put in your car and then you were able to go visit your friend and have a good time, a good afternoon with her. This trains your brain to focus on the value you receive for giving that money over, rather than the money just has left your account or your wallet, right? And so when you start practicing these small perspective shifts, something beautiful happens. If it reveals to you what's really happening with your money. Our money doesn't just disappear when we spend it. It moves, it works, it nourishes, and not only for you. It supports dreams, pays bills, and fuels a living, breathing economy and other people's life, right? But when we hold on so tightly, when we cling to money and we avoid buying what we truly need or want, or have resentment doing it, we stop that flow, or at least we interfere it, right? And we send the money on with negative energy. When we're spending it with resentment or fear, the energy of that money feels heavy to ourselves, and maybe even to the person receiving it, if they're very attuned and deep feeling, right? On the other hand, when we spend with gratitude and cheerfulness, we're adding a little more light, not just to our life. It ripples out into the world, this being more grateful, being more cheerful. It's a lighter feeling that goes out, and the recipient will feel it. So next time you pay for something, let's say you're at the grocery store and you pay the cashier, take a second and smile at her or him, and imagine the journey your money is about to take. Imagine it, all the hands it will land, and how it might make their day a little brighter if they're also coming from this concept of cheerful spending. Now, let's go back to the beginning real quick. And remember, when I said we're not just paying taxes with money, but we're also paying life's taxes. Seneca wrote that even the nuisances, the pains, and the losses in life are a kind of life tax. And if you want to live a long life, it means that you're also signing up for the inconvenience that comes with it. Illnesses, disappointments, losses, and all the unexpected bills, both literal and metaphorical bills, right? And so modern writer Ryan Holiday, you may have heard from him. He talks a lot about the Stoics. He puts it this way: if you speak your mind, you will be criticized. That's a life tax. You travel far, you might get lost, maybe sick, or you miss home. That's also a life tax. That's what happens to me. If I go to Switzerland, I look forward to go, but I also miss my home and I miss my animals. That's my life tax for traveling back home. If you have children, you lose sleep and patience, and it costs a lot of money, right? That's a life tax. If you chase your dreams, you may face setbacks. It may be harder than you thought. That's also a life tax. And I'll add, you also sign up for clutter. Things you once loved and used but don't anymore. Projects you started but lost interest in. All these things need cheerful letting go too. Cheerful because it means you had the money to buy them, you enjoyed them, but now you're evolved. That's a good thing. That's what we're here for. And when it's time to release them, we can do that with gratitude. And then, of course, there are the actual taxes you have to pay. Ramit Sethi says in his book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. You pay taxes only if you make money. If you're paying 30% in taxes, it means you made 70% elsewhere. So don't freak out about taxes. I love his dry humor, right? And his matter-of-fact way of saying things. It's really his way of saying, if you want to stop stressing about paying taxes, you have to change your mindset and approach to them. What if instead of stressing about taxes, you enjoyed paying them? Wait, what? Conny, are you nuts? Yes, I know. Enjoying paying taxes sounds a little bit far-fetched. I'm working on that too. I'm the last one who likes to pay taxes. I'm the last one who likes to declare the tax return and all this stuff. But here is a perspective shift for you and for me. Resenting paying taxes, complaining about paying taxes, and spending excess amount of time and money avoiding paying taxes simply creates a hell of a lot more taxes. Life taxes, that is, in the form of mental, emotional, and spiritual taxes. Not the good kind, where we see we lived a good life, but the taxing kind. and that's pun intended, the taxing kind. And eventually we regret that we wasted our time on something that is unavoidable. Because as Seneca and your local tax office will confirm, 2 things in life are certain: death and taxes. Seriously, joking aside, the sooner we stop resenting bills and taxes and start seeing them as proof that we're living fully, the more joyful and peaceful our life will become. So if you'd like help with becoming more cheerful around your finances and spending, and to bring more peace to your mind and your financial life and business, I'd love to support you. You can book a 30-minute call and bring your chaos to me. I'll help you identify one clear, doable action step to move from chaos to peace, starting right now. Whether that's clearing your path to peace of mind, peace of space, or peace of profit. And we can chat about whether working together feels like a fit. Okay, my friend, that's it for today. Have a beautiful and amazing week. Talk to you next time. Take good care. And be cheerful in your spending.